Hello student, in the last video we have discussed about designing the output. There are lots of things you need to go through in case of designing the output. In this book that we are following, mm, I have already shared in the Google Classroom in the way back. You try to go through the examples that have been included in this book because those are very useful in case of you specially because in after some time you are going to develop new projects, and in that case this type of initial understanding or initial knowledge about how we can design the outputs is very essential. Now today we are trying to understand a bit about how we can design the inputs. Okay, in that case we are going to design the a good form, because basically whenever you design something or whatever you use something in any application, using any application you always try to take the inputs. So form is always a very important idea to gather the inputs. So we'll try to understand about the designing of a form. What are the characteristics and other aspects we need to know about, and I might cover a little bit about it, but I always advise you to go more throughout the book, because there is lots of other things need to be understand which might not be covered in a single video. So first, here you can see, to design form that people find useful, that is very important. In that form might, that the form you are going to design, the people need to find useful. Four guidelines for form design should be observed, that is, make forms easy to fill in, ensure that forms meet the purpose for which they are designed, design forms to ensure accurate completion, keep forms attractive. Each of the four guidelines considered separately in the following section. So we'll go through it, try to understand what this is guidelines saying about. So what is about making the form easy to fill in? It is about to reduce the error, speed completion, and facilitate the entry of data. It is essential that forms be easy to fill in, or there is a good way to flow, good flow, form flow. Designing form with proper flow can minimize the time and effort expended by employees in form completion. Forms should flow from left to right and top to bottom. Illogical flow takes extra time in the first thing, which might not be easy to understand for the users, and that is why which will create more errors. A form that requires people to go directly to the bottom of the form and then skip back up to the top, completions for completions exhibits poor flow. Second, seven section of a form. There are seven sections of a form. A second method that makes it easy for people to fill out forms correctly is logical grouping of information. The seven main sections of a form are following. The first one is heading, and second one is identification and access. Third is instructions, body, signature and verification, totals, comments, like that. So there are seven sections of a form. So you can go through this seven section in this part of this text. I will not explore more, but try to understand a bit about it. Should have a definite sections. There is two types. One is you can directly go from left to right and top to bottom. Another is seven sections of a form. Following this structure you can follow to create the form, to design the inputs so that it is easy to fill it up for the users. Heading section usually includes the name, address of the business originating the form, and the middle of the form is the body, which composes approximately half of this form. This part of the form requires most detail and development from the person completing it. The body is part of the form most likely to contain explicit variable data. So that is the important things of every part of these things. In the bottom quarter of the form is composed three sections: signature, verification, totals, comments. And in the first also heading also there, and there is identification access sections includes codes that may be used to file the report and gain access to it at a later date. And this information is very important when an organization is required to keep the documents for a specified number of years. The instruction section tells us how the form should fill out and where it should be routed when completed. So whole things is important because that will make easy for the user, okay, to fill it out. Captioning, clear captioning is another technique that can make easy for working of filling out a form. Captions tell the person completing the form what to put in the blank line, space or box. Several options for captioning are shown in figure 12.2. We will see them. Here you can see 7 sections found in a well-designed form that help to encourage completion. So there are 7 sections. One is heading, then the second one is identification and access. Second, instructions. Second instruction, there is identification and access points, that is the heading part. That is then second, fourth part is body, main part, body part. Then is total, that is fifth part. And that is if there is any comment or any signature for even sixth part. Is there any comment, that is seventh part. That is the whole form. So you can design this form to gather the inputs. So here you can see captioning. So here line caption, okay, that is a caption. Below line caption, okay, there is a different type of captioning things. There is box caption, or there is vertical checklist, horizontal checklist, table caption. So there are various type of captioning techniques that you can give for your to make it more comfortable for the users, to make it more good flow with the form, so that users can input it very well. So this is all about how we can design and what would be the flow and how the form can be filled, making form easy to fill in. So this is the way we need to create some good sections like this one, 7 sections. We need to create some captions, that might be any way, like this: line caption, below line caption, box caption, vertical checklist, horizontal checklist, table caption, like that. And there are various type. In this way we can go through the form so that the things might be easy, and which make it easy for the user to fill in. Next, meeting the intended purpose. We have to show that thing while designing form. Forms are created to serve one or more purpose in the recording, processing, storing and retrieving of information for businesses. Sometimes it is desirable to provide different information to different departments, but still some basic information, share some basic information. This situation is where specialty forms are useful. The term specialty form can also refer to solely to the way forms are prepared by the stationer. Examples of stationer specialty forms are multiple part forms that are used to create instant replicates of data, continuous feed forms that run through printer without intervention, and performated forms that leave a snap behind as a record when they are separated. So there are different type of forms. So here that is why it is saying that meeting the intended purpose. So every type of form has a different meaning and different purpose. So we need to meet those purpose. Suppose here you can see specialty form, that is also refers solely to the way forms are prepared by the stationer. Like you can see in the when you try to give some deposit through treasury salon, if you have used that type of process in past, that in those treasury salon actually there is triplicate forms. So that is intended purpose, so that things can be recorded in various parts, and also can given to you. And also there might be continuous feed forms that will actually run through the printer. Like whenever suppose there is a printer machine inside the ATM machine, so that always prints the data without any intervention, and which runs through. So that is uh, that is a continuous feed forms. And also perforated forms that leave stub behind as a record when they are separated. So that is another type of forms, perforated forms. So there are different type of forms which are designed for different purposes. So that is also one thing that need to be taught. Ensuring accurate completion, you need to complete the whole form accurately. Error rates typically associated with the collecting data will drop sharply when the forms are designed to ensure accurate completion. Designing is important for ensuring that people do the right thing with the form whenever they use it. One service employees such as meter readers or inventory taker use handheld devices to scan or otherwise key in the data at the appropriate site. The extra step of the transaction during data entry is avoided. So suppose you are going to a mall or a mart, so your bill will be scanned. That is the input device. The scan in the appropriate place, like the bar, scanning bars, or any marker will be scanned. So those things need to be accurate. So that is a part like ensuring the accurate completion. Okay, so that is what it is saying about. So everything needs to be accurate and everything needs to be complete. So we need to find out the way to ensure the accurate completion. So next one is keeping forms attractive. Obviously, for more uses, you need to keep the forms more attractive. Software, there are various softwares which allows a user to take an existing form, scan it into the computer and define fields so that form can be easily filled out on a PC. So there are various softwares which can be created, used to do this type of thing. And also last one is controlling business form. Controlling business form is an important task. Business often have a form specialist who control forms, but sometimes this job falls to the system analyst who set up and implements forms control. So that is why we are trying to learn this part, that is about form designing, and which is a very important task in case of input designing, because always we use, maximum time we use form to gather the inputs. Good displays and waveform design. There is one or another aspects that we always go through whenever we design any web platform or web page. We always try to gather the inputs. So always that part also important, that how we are going to design that web form. Okay, so there are 4 guidelines also in that case, like keeping display simple, keeping the display presentations consistent, facilitate user movement among the display screens and pages, create an attractive and pleasing display. So obviously, like the simple form, you need to also create the same type of guidelines. You have to go through the same type of guidelines, like you have to create a simple display. Okay, you have to keep the display simple, you have to keep the display presentation consistent, facilitate user movement among the display screens and pages. There might be lots of pages in a single website, so you have to provide a smooth, or you have to facilitate the user smooth movement among the or across the pages, so that they don't get bored about. And also it need to be create an attractive and pleasing display, so that input can be given by the users easily. So there are also 3 screen sections. Display outputs should be divided in 3 sections. Top of the screen features heading sections like the general form. Heading contains title, software and open files, pull down menus and icon that do certain tasks. And middle section is called body of the display. The body can be used for data entry, is organized from left to right and top to bottom like the previous simple form design, because people in Western cultures move their eyes on page in this way. That is general way. Caption and instructions should be supplied in these sections to help the user enter the pertinent data in the right place. So that is why we need to go through this. So there is one example here. This form may be hazardous to your health. Here you can see figure 12C1, like this one. a printed medical history form that Dr. Mike Robb, a family practitioner, has his receptionist give to all new patients. All patients must fill it out before they see the doctor. The receptionist is getting back many incomplete or confusing response, which makes it difficult for Dr. Robb to review the forms and understand why new patient is there. In addition, the poor responses make it time consuming for the receptionist to enter new patients into the files. So you can redesign this form paper so that pertinent new patient data can be collected in a logical and inoffensive way. Make sure the form is self-explanatory to new patients. It should also be easy for Dr. Robb to read and easy for the receptionist to enter into the patient database, which is sorted by the patient name, social security number. The office uses PCs connected by a LAN. How would you redesign the form so that it can be electronically submitted by the receptionist? Which office procedures would you have to change? So you can go through this example how we can design this. Okay, try to explore it more about this designing form. Okay, again we are going to that again web form designing context, that is about keeping the display consistent, facilitating movement. Okay, also designing attractive pleasing display. We need to create that so that the users get attracted, so that they fill up the things. Using icons in display design, we can create icons or we can use icons in the display design. Okay, here you can see this is another one which is also not good enough. This screen can be designed to be more user friendly, but how we can do that, that is your task. You can go through it, try to put some more idea about this. And also the next one is graphical user interface design. A graphical user interface design is the way that user interface with the Windows or Macintosh operating system. This is also referred to as point and click interface. We can say that user can use mouse to click an object, drag it into position. Graphical user interface faces take advantage of additional features in display design such as text box, check boxes, option buttons, list, drop down list boxes, sliders, pin buttons. So I can give you an advice, like you can go through it the VB Basics. So you can download it and you can use that thing, because that is solely to design the GUI, and you can create this type of form. Okay, and which is very essential to understand, because whenever we design something in case of computer application, we always need to develop a Google form to take the inputs from the users or from the any clients. So in that scenario we need to design perfect or good forms so that they don't get distracted. So there are various parts of that form. It might have text boxes, check boxes, option buttons. So there are various commands associated with those things and various functions associated with this, list and drop down list boxes, and table tab control dialog boxes. There might be sliders, pin buttons, image mapping, there will be text area. So there are various types of things can be included in the GUI design, and which is very useful and which is very important in case of designing the GUI. And we need to forms should be controlled and it should have values. This is a web-based input form for user to register for a quiz. So if anyone want to register a quiz, they need to fill up this form. So this is one example how we can go with the web-based input form, which is also very useful nowadays. People try to create this type of forms in websites to gather the inputs from the users. So there are also dynamic web pages. Some values might changes over time. There might be some things that might be changes over time. They often use JavaScript to modify some part. So like that, there are various things need to be learned about this, how we can design the input things. Basically we can say that how we can design the forms in case of GUI, in case of website, in case of general form design. There are various aspects to learn about. You can go through it. Here you can see there is various form control and here is events. like web page loads, number of people, value changes, starting mark, selection changes, like that, and what the response is. So these are the different type of events associated with the dynamic pages. So that event response chart that lists the form control event and response for a number of events that can occur as user interacts with the Azure IL resort cost estimator screen. So there are various event and responses. This is a list with a specific website. So if you build a different website, your response with the events might be different. So you need to also create that type of list so that it will be very easy to understand for the analyst also, for the development also, or for the user also. So that is all about in case of designing the form, or you can say designing the inputs. Try to go through the books and contents. There are very informative things already in their books. You can understand it. It is very simple. Try to use this type of technique like Ajax, or there might be other techniques, like using color in display design, how we can use the colors and what will be the good colors or what were good designs. You can go through the book, you can understand this and try to go through the content more and more, and thus you will learn more. And if you have any doubt, please let me know. We'll discuss over Google Meet. Thank you.